Welcome to Autism, God's Bright Kids, a show by angelarts.biz. Here on this podcast show, you will find encouragement in the midst of the challenge of autism. We will share stories of how God works in the midst of those affected by autism, as well as how He uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Because there is hope, there is life, there is love in the midst of autism. And here is your host, Dana Susan Beasley.
I am your host, Dana Susan Beasley, and welcome to God's Bright Kids. It's Tuesday, April 30th, and I'm recording the show in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where it's been beautiful spring weather, but of course, there will be some turbulent storms ahead. Now, I'm excited to share with you today about how to help kids with autism excel in writing. How to help with their writing process problems. Now, this is something that I've dealt with directly with my son, who's now 23, but that's something that we always struggled with in our schooling when I homeschooled him. And, it really became evident to him when Sam, he took a driving class, and he noticed that he was not able to take notes like the rest of the class was, and it was kind of devastating to him. He was really having a hard time with that. Well, it turned out that he did fine on the test. He got 85%. He's an excellent driver. He passed the driver's test, first thing. So, but what was it that why does he have such a difficulty with writing? And if you look below in the description, I've got a source that I got some of this information from, so go ahead and look at that. But why is it so difficult? Well, writing is more than the ability to form letters. It involves skills in language, organization, motor control and planning, and sensory processing. And all of that influences a student's ability to come up with ideas to write about. That's always where Sam had trouble, was getting it from his brain to his hand. He had dysgraphia, or he has dysgraphia. He's improved a lot, but that is something he struggled with. And they're often challenged organizationally, challenged with speaking, to sequence their words into sentences that make sense and sentences in a logical order. And they've got to use fine motor skills to write, to do the actual action of writing with a pen or pencil, or to use a keyboard. And that will also affect their sensory regulation. To filter out their environment. So that has something to do with it too. So here's some research that discovered that the brain doesn't get messages from one part to another. Compared to a group of people crowded in a room working on the same project, but they're not able to talk to one another. So just imagine that there's two groups of people, and they're crowded in a room, they're working on the same project, but they cannot talk to one another. All right, so that's kind of the why, and getting you to imagine the problem with it. So what can be done? First of all, give your student concrete examples and not vague abstraction. We tried Time for Writing, which is the same, what is it called? There's a Time for Learning or something. I've forgotten. It's been so many years that I've done this. And it just did not work at all. So, because it was so vague, it was like, describe your feelings about blah, blah, blah. And that did not go well with my son, I'll tell you. Instead, I came up with something called a sentence wheel. And I'm going to have to find this because it's been so long since I've used it, obviously, since I graduated him. But I would put parts, if I remember right, I would put parts of a sentence on a wheel and then help him use that to make a sentence. So it was all out there for him to see visually. So here's what you can do. Show pictures, show seasons, what is your favorite, write down choice as a title, why is that your favorite, write down keywords in his answer, then have the student write one sentence for each keyword. Okay, so this must be my, sorry, I'm reading this and I haven't looked at this for a while. So, all right, so here's an example of something you could do. So show pictures of seasons and then ask them what is their favorite season. Obviously, fall, winter, spring, or summer. So they tell you their favorite, write that down as a title, and then ask them, why is that your favorite? Write down their keywords in their answer, and then have the student write one sentence for each keyword. That's one thing that you can do. That's a concrete example. It's not just saying, write about how you feel. That's very vague, very hard for kids on the spectrum. And then number 2, thing that you can do for a child who's struggling with writing, dialogue. Now, I am a big fan of Jessica Hulsey with Konos. She wrote Konos, the one of the first homeschooling unit study curriculums. It's called the granddaddy of all unit studies. And that is what she always stressed. Ask questions. Model what's going on in your natural setting. If you have young children, do this with them. Just keep a conversation going and asking them questions. So, I remember one time we were at Village Inn eating dinner, and I verbally explained the process as I was doing it of calculating the tip for the server. So things like that. And then number 3, what you can do is help them get organized, and that you can use diagrams, charts, tables, visual timelines. And then, there's a lot of that available out there, Venn diagrams. I loved particularly this one called a hamburger chart. There's all sorts of visual aids that you can use. And then ask your student what he knows about the topic that you have at hand. And write down the pictures or keywords along a straight lines. And then you arrange it into a logical order. The student reads the assignment to the adult using pictures, and the students hear the logical flow of the language. So that's one way that you can do that. The 4th way that you could help a student who has a hard time with writing, especially if they're on the spectrum, is to help with inertia or the resistance to get started. Oh, this is huge. For younger kids, guide their hand for the actual physical act of writing. Guide their hands with slight pressure and slowly fade. Allow the student to proceed on her own. And then if they're older, tap at the spot where the student is to write. This initiates movement. So, yeah, there is often resistance to get started, even with the writing, thinking of the concept itself. So the 5th way that you can help your child with writing is to provide warm-up exercises before writing to help with sensory regulation. Have the student do 30 wall push-ups or carry a full laundry basket up and down stairs for a few times. And intersperse fun into movement breaks. I found when I was homeschooling, you cannot bypass the physical movement. There is a direct correlation between that and being able to get the brain to flow. So make sure you have fun movement breaks, and then have them write 1 to 5 sentences, and then do a fun brisk activity like we used to do back when that was popular. Then have them write more sentences. help them do things that will activate their vestibular system. And one of the greatest books for that is Sensory Child Has Fun. That is a really good book that has a lot of different exercises for all these systems. All right, so that's the 5th way you can help your child with writing. The 6th way you can help your child with writing is to incorporate brain exercises into school. And I got these ideas from Brain Balance and Dr. Robert Melillo's book, Disconnected Kids. And I will have a link below. So, if you're right-brained, do some sensory things. No, for your right brain, sorry. Do some sensory things like have a smell game. Stimulate their sense of smell and guess scents blindfolded, like black pepper, coffee, and lemon. Use the right nostril only. This helps them become open to new and varied foods. And then do a musical brain balance. Listen to harmonious music like Marches Militaire by Schubert. The March Militaire by Schubert. Use an earplug to block the right ear. Here's another one. Put one foot in front of the other. Wear one sock on right foot and stand straight. Eyes open and feet together. One foot directly in front of the other. Remain still for 30 seconds. When the child can do that successfully 4 sessions in a row, then move on. So those are for the right brain. Now for the left, do the smell game. It's the same, but use pleasant scents like banana, lavender, chocolate, and use the left nostril. For the musical one, listen to music for left brain. Listen to rhythmic pieces like Piano Concerto in B minor by Tchaikovsky. Use one earplug to block the left ear. And then for the physical movement, put one foot in front of the other, wear one sock on the left foot and stand straight, eyes open and feet together. One foot directly in front of the other. Remain still for 30 seconds, and when the child can do that successfully for 4 sessions in a row, then move on. All right, and then academic. For academics, for their comprehension, read aloud a passage of a book to the child. Provide multiple choice questions to ask the child to differentiate between what is true, false, and inference. Inference. Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. All right, and then here's an eye movement exercise. Stand face to face with your child. Hold up both hands so one is in a visual field of each other of our child's eyes. Ask the child to look you in the eye. Tell him that when you wiggle a finger of one hand, he should look at the opposite hand. Wiggle your right hand more so the child will look left. Do that 10 times. That was for the right brain. Now for the left brain, for comprehension, read a passage, then ask multiple choice questions related to specific details of the passage. For eye movement, for the left brain, stand face to face with your child. Hold up both hands so no one is in the visual field of each other of your eyes. Ask child to look you into the eye. Tell him that when you wiggle a finger of one hand, he should look at the opposite hand. Wiggle your right hand more so the child will look left. Do this 10 times. So, using proprioceptive and vestibular exercises is another way that you can help your child who struggles with writing. And again, I'm going to have this link down here. And I know I'm going over this really fast, and it's probably hard to understand just by hearing it, but I'm going to have these links. So the 8th way that you can help your child write is to use proprioceptive and vestibular exercises. For instance, for proprioceptive, or, use a massager, use a weighted blanket. Those are really popular and work well. Make a pizza sandwich with pillows while lying on the floor, but obviously don't cover their face. You don't want to smother them. And then have them do heavy work like carrying groceries, sweeping your yard, digging in the garden. That would be really helpful to you too. And it counts as school. And then jump on the trampoline, climb on playground equipment. I find it very interesting how recess has been curtailed. playground equipment has been made quote-unquote safe, and kids do not explore as much as they used to. And so there's all these problems with sensory integration. Interesting. So, if your child, your student, is having a hard time sitting still during a lesson, try to give them a stress ball to squeeze, to chew gum, or have a special chew toy, or have them sit on a ball, or like, I personally don't expect a child, especially on the spectrum, to sit still during a lesson. So I would always give my son something to do. So he would be coloring with crayons or doing something with clay. I do that a lot when I was reading aloud to him so that he could actually focus. Now, I myself, a lot of times when I'm working, I will watch TV because actually the noise will help me focus. Otherwise, I'm just all over the place in my head and I can't settle down. So that actually helps. Sounds really weird, but it does. So try those tricks. And then for the vestibular system, have them jump on a trampoline, have them do a rocking horse. Swings are really good. Doing roundabouts. I mean, the old-fashioned merry-go-round, I see nothing wrong with that. Have them do slides. And then one thing you do, drop 10 pencils on the floor and have them pick it up one at a time. Then there's the game called Head and Shoulders, Knees and Toes. I'm sure you've all heard it. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, right? And then there's something called cross crawl, where you put sort of like a jumping jack, but not really. You lift up your right arm, and then you lift up your left leg, and you tap your left knee with your right arm, and then you do the opposite. So you set your left leg down, at the same time you lift up your right leg, and with your left hand you tap your right knee. And when I first had Sam doing this, it was tough. It was hard for him. And I don't think my husband could do it either. He tried. So, but that really helps cross the midline. And then do spin jumps. Find a focal point and have the kids spin jump on a spot to face the item you call out. That's another thing that you can do. And then change the direction of the spin from left to right and try 180-degree turns as well as 90-degree turns. And then another one, which was my favorite as a kid, which I don't know if too many kids do this nowadays either. Roll down hills, a grassy hill. It is so fun. So that is another way you can help. And then the 9th way you can help with writing is through nutrition. Inflammation in the brain can cause behaviors and learning challenges. Try omega-3s and turmeric. I know my son loves fish. It's something that he's always craved. So get turmeric into your diet. And I actually have a link in the description box for you. Here's some ways that you can do it. Blend turmeric in a smoothie. Seasoned roasted veggies with it. Brush your teeth with it. Ooh, that sounds kind of yucky. Add a dash to basmati rice, quinoa, mashed potatoes, and eggs. Brew tea. Stir up in curry powder. Drink golden milk. Ooh, my son loves golden milk. That's really yummy. Make homemade mustard. Fortify your soup. Make cold remedy. Saute in a healthy dish. Sprinkle on an avocado, which is really good for our kids. Make natural food coloring. Top salad with it. Spread it on your skin. Buy organic, high-quality ground turmeric or fresh turmeric root. And then another thing, have protein and good fats. Even to this day, Sam has to eat a good protein breakfast. In fact, I do too, or we just cannot function. So, those are some different ways that you can help kids with writing process problems. Now, at another time, I'm going to go more directly into the subject of how to have a child or how to help a child who doesn't like to write, like write stories or articles or essays or what have you. This is more, how you can do that through movement, through right brain and left brain training. So be sure to look at the description below. I know that I went really fast, and it's hard to describe these things on a podcast. So just look through these sources I have, and I hope that brings you some help. For Sam, he's better at writing, that's for sure. The physical act of writing. He's always on the keyboard. I can't say, he's not an expert typer than I am. I was pretty much a professional typist in my youth, but he is able to function, that's for sure, to do his work and to fill out forms or whatever he needs to do. So just try that. Just be patient. Just keep trying and keep studying and keep learning and keep hoping and just never give up. That's the thing. So again, I hope that helped. I'm kind of rambling, but I hope you enjoy that, and be sure to look at the description box below. All right, so that's all I have to share. Now, next week, I didn't really plan this out yet. Let's see. Actually, next week is going to be May 5th. So I'm going to be... I'm sorry, I'm rambling again because I have so much going on. We've got a lot of trips that we're going on, so I'm trying to figure all this out. So yeah, actually, that's going to be the Tuesday before Mother's Day. So I'm going to do a special show all about Mother's Day. And I know how difficult that can be when you're a mother to an autistic child, and many times they don't even acknowledge you. So that's what we're going to talk about for our next show, which would be, and I'm looking at the calendar because I can't remember. Let's see, that would be May 7th. Wow, time is just marching on. All right, so that will be May 7th. I'll talk about that. Okay, so thank you for listening to today's episode. I know I rambled. Be sure to look at the description box below to get that help you need with writing process problems. So tune in on May 7th, and we will be talking about Mother's Day. All right. So that is all for today. Together, may we reach new heights in our lives and beyond, because there is hope, there is life, there is love, even in the midst of autism. Blessings to you. This is Dana Susan Beasley signing off.